You're watching Marketing Tip Tea Time, and I am your host, Aaron Zimala. Marketing Tip Time is where we serve up stories, tips, and sips for you at home. Sips of tea, tips and stories about marketing, or maybe the Queen of England? I don't know. We'll find out on this next episode of Marketing Tip Tea Time with our guest, Jamie Cotton, who, by the way, is all the way in Denver, Colorado, which is only about an hour from where we are at the studio at this moment. Let me tell you a little bit about Jamie. As a Colorado native, Jamie is an avid outdoorsman. As you know, if you live in Colorado, I think that's an obligation. But he's also a horror movie aficionado, which we have to talk about horror movies in a second. He's a single dad with a toddler daughter, a German short-haired pointer, and he once met the Queen of England. And when he met her, by the way, she told him that he didn't have to bow because he is American. Jamie is currently zeroing in on the nexus of technology and service in the media buying world. Please help me in welcoming Jamie Cotton. Here he is.
Woo! Hey, Aaron, what's up?
Nothing much, just, doing a little podcast right now.
I'm so stoked to be here and have my tea and talk about
by
all
the
this
way,
crazy stuff.
The tea I'm going to dive into real quick. This is Harney & Sons Peppermint Herbal Tea Sackets. I'm going to go ahead and steep mine right now. So tea cam me. Are we doing it? Is it happening?
The tea cam is live.
I can never find the... There we go. Got a little comedy bit going here with the tea cam.
It's perfect.
The sackets always... the little... Do you ever pour your water and this little string falls in the water and it's just the worst thing that could happen to you in the tea world?
Yeah, I don't know if there's full tea etiquette about when the sachet falls in. But hopefully that doesn't happen. It didn't happen to me.
Right. It didn't. Yeah, I time mine off sometimes. Yeah. So about this tea, from tea garden to tea cup. In 1983, John Harney embarked on a mission to share his passion for tea. Wow, this sounds really intense. Harney & Sons offers a selection of over 275 varieties of the highest quality teas. We personally source our teas from the most reputable established estates and gardens worldwide, accepting only the exceptional. And then it has a tea rating, the Mike Harney's tea rating. Briskness, does your mouth pucker? Body,
I got a little
does
pucker.
The tea does a little I haven't tried it yet, so I'll body, does the tea fill your mouth? I'm thinking if you drink it correctly, the tea will probably go in your mouth. Aroma, does the tea have a robust scent? A rating of 5 indicates the highest amount of that characteristic. Interesting. Do you have any special stories about peppermint tea that you want to share with?
So I picked peppermint tea. It's got a soft spot in my heart. I got turned on to peppermint tea from my uncle, who's passed away a few years ago. But I would go to his farm. He's Danish. Would go to his farm in Denmark, and he made his own homemade peppermint tea from his mint bushes. And it was So whenever I drink peppermint tea, I get this instant nostalgia, and so that's why I picked peppermint today.
Oh my gosh, that's an amazing story. That's awesome. A lot of people do have really intimate stories about the tea they select, which is kind of fun.
Yeah, I think peppermint is not a common choice, but whenever I see it, I always have it. I dabble in lots of different teas. This is one I always have stocked, and this was a good one.
Nice. We actually, my parents have and my grandparents have peppermint bushes as well. That they will make homemade peppermint tea out of. Yeah, so it's pretty good. We haven't steeped it for 5 minutes yet, and it's boiling hot, so I'm gonna try this on the show right now while it's boiling hot.
Careful.
Protect the microphone. I think peppermint is always really good for just sort of waking you up. It's got this freshness to it. It's just sort of
a little bite.
Yep.
Tiny little bite.
Yep. Exactly. So speaking of tea, I think on everybody's mind right now is, what's the story with the Queen of England? And how did that happen?
Yeah, so I was a kid. So I was born in Colorado and then grew
Okay.
up in England. So my family moved over there when we were in like third grade. And uh, through a set of various circumstances, my family and I found ourselves at the Ascot Royal Racetrack. And it was a horse race, and it happened to be Kids Day. So I was, in like fifth grade, and they were like, "Okay, stand in this line," and stood in this line, and then at the end of the line, the Queen was handing out candy to children as
Oh
a sort
my.
of tradition.
Whoa.
So I see all these kids go up there, and they get their piece of candy, and they bow, and then they walk away. So I did the same thing. I walked up and she gave me a piece of candy. I bowed. I said, "Thank you." And then when I said thank you, she stopped me. And she was like, "You're American." I was like, "Yes, I am." She was like, "You don't have to bow because you're American." And I was like, "Okay, thank you." Goodbye. Thank you for the candy.
Wait, and how old are you at this point?
I was 11,
Okay.
something like that. Yeah,
Okay,
10
she's
or
like, "Oh,
11.
stop bowing, all right? Breaking
Yeah,
political
she was not
protocol."
having it. Yeah, yeah. I don't know
Wow.
if there was something geopolitically happening at that moment that made her intervene.
Yeah, you could have caused an international incident
Yeah,
with the
I
UK in
did.
that moment. Wow.
Yeah,
All right. Well, our next questions, we're going to dive a little bit deeper into you, and these are going to be very rapid fire, though. So this or
let's do
that,
it.
or a favorite, whatever. And you don't have to explain yourself if you don't want to. So, first question
Yeah,
is favorite horror movie.
yeah, that's the hardest one. So just rapid fire. I'm going audition. Takeshi Miike's Audition. It's a Japanese movie.
Oh,
It'll scare your pants off.
I've never
It's
seen
it's
that.
amazing. Highly recommend. But it's also one that's like I think a lot of people, if you just go into it blind, you'll find it sort of boring and obtuse. Um, but if you stick with it, it scares me still. It's like old.
Wow.
It's not old. It's like from the '90s, late '90s,
Okay,
early 2000s,
that's cool.
maybe.
I'll have to
But
go
it's
check. I'll have.
Takeshi Miike's Audition.
Okay, I'll have to go check that out for sure. Search, programmatic, or print advertising.
This is tough because I'm in the programmatic world, right? And
Right.
and that's my day to day. If it's like, listen, at the end of the day, everyone does search, right? You search for the thing you're going to get. So you got to be in the search game no matter what. You fill up all the other holes in your marketing game with programmatic, though. And no one cares about print because
Okay.
it's bad for the rainforest.
It is bad for the rainforest. Stop printing things, okay? All right. One book that every marketer should read.
um, so in this question, I think people need to like get out of heady marketing books and get into poetry. I think you'll
Oh,
enjoy and have better interactions with people if
yeah.
you can have your head in some poetry. Expand your mind a little. My recommendation: start with some Saul Williams. Maybe
Saul
said
Williams, yeah.
the shotgun to the head by Saul Williams, or some Brodigan. Get out there, read some weird
Yeah.
stuff. Get weird, and then people will listen to you more because you like weird stuff.
That's great. I mean that's what we try and do on the show, right? We try and get weird. So
I think that's how you and I got along.
yeah, probably. You're probably right. Oh man. So yeah, that's fantastic. And yeah, search. Everybody's got to be in the search game. That's true. If you're not on search, then you're behind by a million years at this point. Um, all right, so I'm gonna
Yeah, but
dive in a little bit further.
it
Oh,
takes
go
the
ahead. Go ahead.
programmatic
Yeah.
to get to the search, right? Like you can't search for it
Yeah.
if you don't know about it. So programmatic
Right.
will let people know about it.
Right, exactly, exactly. I mean, I've seen some things recently from programmatic that I've Googled right away. You can actually see the Google results go up for any programmatic. So when you run programmatic and then the Google searches go up for whatever it is that the ad was for.
Yeah.
So that's really kind of fun. Um, okay, so 12 years ago though, you were serving up specialty sandwiches at Yampa Sandwich Company.
Shout out.
And now, and now you're an account executive at Choosel. Can you tell me a little bit about your journey from sandwiches to Choosel?
Yeah, yeah. So I had worked, all throughout college while I was working. Initially, while I was in Seattle at the University of Washington, working at like Chipotle and the YMCA, doing regular jobs while getting your degree. Moved out to Denver,
Yeah.
got my master's at DU. Still had to have a job. So I started working for what was then called Backcountry Provisions. Now it's Yampa Sandwich Co. Amazing, Colorado-based business, small business. Definitely support them. Incredible stuff. But was working there throughout grad school and then eventually became the GM there. It's in Lodo, Denver. So I got to every day, hang out with a lot of amazing tech folks and
Yeah.
luxury travel industry folks. And from there, sort of parlayed that role into a role at Inspirato, where I was for a few years, who are a luxury travel club. And
Wow. Yeah.
from there got into the sort of sales game and did I came to marketing and media a lot later, through technology sales essentially. There's so many
Right.
amazing Colorado businesses and they do amazing work, and to be part of that ecosystem that can go across industries was what drew me in, and
Right.
found Choosel, um, as a marketing technology company that just fit that bill, right? Amazing Colorado company that checked all the boxes, had the coolest technology, and I wanted to be part of it. So dove in and have been slinging media technology for a while now,
Wow. So did you just like go knock on the door? You're like, hey, I
essentially.
want a job.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's the nice thing that I think about the service industry is you get to like meet so many people. So I had met, the
Yeah.
president and owner of these businesses, and literally went and knocked on the door with a resume. I don't like post COVID. I don't think you can do that anymore. but
Right. Yeah.
but
Wow.
I think that's another thing is just like showing up, right? Like you
Yeah.
show up and things will happen. So get out there and put yourself in front of the people you want to be around and cultivate
Yeah.
them.
For sure. For sure. And so at Choosel, first of all, what does Choosel do and what is programmatic for people who have no idea what that is? And then what do you do at Choosel?
Yeah. So let's start with programmatic. Programmatic is a way of serving ads in a real-time bidding format, right? So all across the internet, all across TV, there's all this open ad inventory, and through a complex programmatic system of demand side networks, supply side networks. Um, you are able to furnish your ads across the web in all that amazing inventory, whether that's display, whether that's video, whether that's audio, whether that's connected television. It all goes through this real
Yeah.
time bidding format. So you can um, have a sort of open, democratic auction environment to serve your ads.
Wow.
As far as what Choosel does, we connect people into that world. So we work a lot with agencies. Agencies will use us as a media buying platform, but can also work uh, with brands directly. You have your marketing department in your company, and you want them to just be serving the ads instead of going through an agency. You can come to Choosel, and we can help you with that.
Okay, so you can sort of help to set that process up for a business as well if they don't necessarily want to outsource it to you. You come in and you
Exactly.
consult to get it all set up.
Yeah, so we have a self-serve platform that they're able to use. So typically, a business will start with some of the basics, like we talked about earlier, right? Like search, social. They'll have those set up as sort of their check boxes of marketing, and then when they want to start, diving deeper into all the different components of the marketing funnel, that's where programmatic can come in and really plug those holes. Make sure you're
Right.
getting broad awareness, but also it's an amazing technology when it comes to actually tracking some of those attributions, right? And that's why Google is
Ooh.
such a heavy player, is because of that last click attribution that they have in search, right? So when you
Yep.
can do it programmatically and actually follow that consumer through the marketing funnel and the different touch points and attributions, it's a way more comprehensive view of their whole journey as a consumer.
Yeah, for sure. Are you being affected at all by the new data craziness and Apple blocking cookies and everybody going crazy about how attribution models work, even though they don't quite understand how it actually works? Are you being affected by that at
Yeah.
Choosel?
So the nice thing is, like, we've seen it coming from years away. So,
Mm-hmm.
I think when the whole programmatic world started and really targeted audience building, it was very cookie based. But now with the deprecation of the cookie, we've had to go around that. So having a bunch of different data partners where people have actually, opted in and they're choosing those different
Yeah.
uh, areas to be in, and they're sort of cultivating their own internet and the world around them. That's where we want to be, because that's where you have the most effective ads, right? Where someone
Yeah.
is already engaged with that product, with that offering, and they're opting into it. And then another business can come along and say, we like that audience. They've opted into that. Let's see if they like our stuff. So I don't
Wow.
think
Yeah.
the deprecation of the cookie is a bad thing at all. I think it's amazing. It's just going to help people create their own cultivated internet in a very like democratized way.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense. And so, what are you doing at Choosel? What's your main job?
So I'm an account executive, and I help to sell Choosel. So I
You're doing a
oversee
very good
really
job, by
from
the way.
Denver. Thank you. Yeah, really everything from Colorado up to British Columbia is my territory. So I get to work with incredible businesses and really make sure that we're aligned on KPIs and strategy, and have a
Yeah.
full big picture of what they want to do and then execute on it.
All right. So that is a great segue into our next question, which is, as an advertising company through programmatic, what are some of the most important KPI and metrics that you track for clients, and what sort of tech are you using to track that? Which sort of goes back to the cookie crumbling. Hot.
Yeah.
Yep.
So when we, um, sorry, Aaron, it might just got a buzz in my ear. Um,
Oh no, you're good.
so as far as metrics, the main things that we look at, obviously, like, reach, clicks, um, completion rates, really all those
Yeah.
top line metrics when it comes to any sort of like ad serving and performance. The trick is we want to make sure that we're aligned from the beginning on that. And if it's more of a conversion based, like if we're looking at a cost per acquisition, we want to make sure from the start that that's what we're using our different tactics and channels for.
Right.
When you think about something like connected television, it's awesome. It's amazing. You get to find your captured audience. But when you're sitting on the couch, you're not going to be clicking on your TV screen to try to uh, get to
Right.
the click through link, right? So someone will say, like, we want to serve CTV and we really want a cost per acquisition. It's like, well, those two things don't go hand in hand, right? CTV is amazing for reach and for impressions, but as far
Right.
as those click throughs and conversions, it's not going to get you there. So let's take a step back. Let's look at the whole picture and maybe take a CTV ad and then retarget a view of that ad to an individual, and retarget it with a display ad that they can actually click on.
Yeah. That makes sense.
That makes
That
sense.
makes sense. That's a great way to think about that. And I think that a lot of brands are probably looking for some sort of tactics and strategies related to that, really. Because everybody does, a lot of people want the thing that they can see, which is like, I want to be able to go on my connected TV. I want to go somewhere and I want to see my ad pop up,
Yes.
right? They sort of want that feeling of, okay, that looks really pretty, but then you
Vanity.
got to back right the vanity, but then you got to back that up with like then the metrics at the end of it. So they're like, I want to be on TV. You're like, great, and then they say, I want cost per acquisition. You say, All right. Well, we got to change that a little bit. So,
Yeah,
no,
and it's just about
that's pretty
aligning on
awesome.
that because the technology's
Yeah.
there, the verification is there, everything from media trust, risk IQ, like there's
Right.
making sure that the actual like ads are served and the numbers are running. You want the performance at the end of the day.
Right.
You want those media dollars to capture as many impressions, as many clicks, and that's
Yeah.
really where I see programmatic really come to the forefront in terms of performance.
Right.
So making sure that it's not just a vanity play.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people have thought about programmatic, but here's another question that we're going off script here a little bit, but how, as far as budgets go for someone, if they want to get into programmatic, what is a good expectation for somebody who's like, well, I'm a very small business, I want to get into programmatic. I hear this a lot. I have no money to do this, but I still want to do this.
Yeah.
What are typical prices that you see in the space?
So they really range, right? Like you can go onto AdRoll with $20 and start serving some ads, right? You can go to the trade desk and for $1 million, they'll be serving your ads. Choosel
Right.
sits in that sort of small medium round.
Okay.
So I would say, our average clients are spending in the, 20 to 50K a month. Um,
Yeah.
and for us, again, it's about performance. Like we want to be a strategic partner. We don't just want to like take money and serve ads. We want people to succeed. So you need enough
Right.
gas in the gas tank to drive the car where you want it to go. And the good news is, these days I think uh, CPMS are awesome and transparent, and people can actually make informed decisions. Um, but it
Yeah.
is a different world than sort of pay per click, where you can just go to somewhere and say, here's X amount of dollars, I want X amount of clicks. In the
Right.
programmatic world with the real time bidding scenario, you're not going to be able to just like have A for B. It is a
Gotcha.
more long term sort of
Yep.
strategic play.
So if I came to you with my $20 in my pocket, I was like, all right, get me out there. You'd probably be like,
I'd be
that
like,
might not work
here's
out.
here's somewhere else to go with your
Here's
$20.
Google display ads.
Yeah, yeah,
All
and,
right.
and that's the thing is like you can do it, and you can get into it. There's so many cool competitors that we have,
Right.
and we call them frenemies, right? Like we work with all of them. We all know each other,
Yeah.
um, but at the end of the day, like we want to again be strategic. We want to align on what's going to work well, and part of I think being a good salesman, a good business owner, is saying no. Gently
Yeah.
saying this isn't gonna work out. You can't just say yes all the time. You want to make
That's
sure when you
important.
say yes, it's gonna succeed. So that's where I think
Yeah.
we separate ourselves. Just having that sort of ethos of when we pick a partner, it's a two-way street, and we want to make
Right.
sure that everything's aligned.
That's great. That's great. Doing a great job of selling still. Loving it. um, one of my next questions is because, this has to do with programmatic and CTV. I think a lot of brands see the cost of especially like a TV spot. And they go, oh, wow, that's a lot. And metrics are, with TV, like you said, metrics are hard. And with like if you're going to be on a cable network or something, that's tough. That's tough because they can only estimate things. That's sort of you're going back to the old fashioned rate card
Yeah,
where
Nielsen.
yeah,
Everything's just
Nielsen's rate
extrapolated
card.
to
Yeah.
a billion different things. And then also, yeah, when you're
Right.
dropping, you know, like what was it for the Super Bowl this year? It was like $7 million for a 30-second spot.
Yep. Yep.
Like, what are you going to
Yeah.
actually get out of that in terms
That's
of return
crazy.
on ad spend? Um, I think, if people are used to buying local, right? Or even like radio. Uh,
Yeah.
all of these things can be done programmatically in a much more efficient and effective way, right? Because instead of
Mm-hmm.
triangulating on the audience's viewership, right? I have a outdoor equipment I want to sell, and I want to get it to people who are watching, Steve Ranella or Meat Eater stuff.
Yeah.
Those people are also probably watching Peppa Pig with their kids, right? So from a programmatic space, we can say, let's just focus on the audience, and then wherever they're watching, whatever they're watching, we have them targeted as an audience. We'll serve their ad wherever they're watching. So we don't need to go
Yeah.
specific to a channel, specific to a publisher, specific to even a slot, or a spot.
Right.
We can say, here's our awesome ad, here's our awesome audience. Let's just find them wherever that nexus is. And I
Wow.
think that's where that captured viewership is so much more effective in programmatic, right? Like
Yeah.
you're not buying ads that are on in the background of the bar that no one's watching. People are clicking on the thing that they want to watch. And when your brand can align with that thing that they're already opting into, it has so much more relevance and significance to them. Um,
Yeah.
and and it's cheaper, right? It's going to end up being
Yeah.
cheaper without all those wasted impressions. Um,
Right.
so it's a great way to get either locally or nationally or globally get your stuff out there through programmatic because the channels are there. And what's awesome is we've done a job of getting together all of those networks and providers and technologies and all those people that individually sell ad space, right? You can go to a Roku, you can go to a Hulu, you can go to a CBS, you can go to a Paramount, but like can you go to one place and then find that audience wherever they're being served? Yeah, you can. That's through Choosel and programmatic folks like us.
Wow. Wow. We call that spilling the tea with when you say something really profound about marketing. So I think yeah, that that's really good for people to realize that it's I think a lot of people think programmatic is like TV. They
Mhm.
sort of mix it up. But what would you say to a brand that is looking to pivot to programmatic from TV? Maybe they're saying, "Oh, TV is just too hard for us to keep going in. How can we pivot to programmatic in a way that is, smooth?"
Yeah, I think it's a smart move. I think a lot of marketers are thinking about that right now. Last year, um, cord cutters eclipsed corded watchers, right? So more people right now are watching via a connected television or over-the-top device, and to make that transition, right, you have to wrap your head around being able to triangulate on your audience as opposed to uh, the viewership and the programming.
Right.
The other thing you'll be able to do is actually get some results out of it. The linear world is a black box. You're gonna
Yep.
pay for X amount of dollars, and you're gonna get a report that says we have this many estimated impressions, but there's no actual line between those two. It's just an input and
Yeah.
an output in a black box. I think what really excites people is the reporting in CTV and OTV,
Yeah.
right? Like you can actually see where those ads are going, where they're spending, how it's matching up with your audience, and how it's affecting your bottom line at the end of the day.
Right. Right. I have a random thought popped in my brain because we were talking about the Super Bowl. If you remember last Super Bowl, like the one before the one that just happened, there was that commercial. I think it was for Coinbase, where it was just a neon background and then the QR code
The QR
that
code.
like
Yeah,
bounced around on the screen like the old fashioned video. Um, that was an interesting way for them to try and I think connect that where you said it's a
yeah,
black box, but make that connection because I think
yeah,
that there was something over like 3 million scans of the QR code.
yeah. And now you're starting to see that bridge between the viewership and the data, right? And historically, it was through promo codes. Use this promo code, and it's specific to this
Right.
ad, and then we can track it that way. These days, there's companion display banners. There's, a lot of people who are watching on their phone or on their laptop can actually click through an ad. Uh, so I think, one, it was super smart to pique everyone's curiosity with that QR code. On the flip side of that, I was just in LAX the other day in a bathroom, like drying my hands, and there was a QR code on the dryer that someone had slapped a sticker on. It said, "Don't scan," and it had a QR code. And I
Did
did
you
not
scan it?
scan it. No, I
Oh,
did not
okay.
scan
All
it.
right.
I took its advice. But I
Do
can
not.
see, if it was
Wow.
something
Yeah.
nefarious, now all of a sudden, your Venmo account's drained. I don't
That's
know.
funny. That's funny. I probably would have been one of the ones to try and scan it. I'd been like, what is
Yeah, I'll
this
borrow
here?
someone else's phone to do it.
Incognito mode, like, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay. Okay. Well, we have a lot of viewers on the show that are high schoolers or college students or people looking to make a transition in their career to marketing because marketing is such a booming part of the job market right now. What sort of advice would you give to somebody who's in high school or college or looking to make that transition for things that they should be doing now to prepare themselves to work at a place like Choosel?
Yeah, I think, it's interesting because for me, I didn't come from an advertising background. I didn't come from a marketing background. I came from like a geopolitics background. And I think that really helped me
Right.
just in terms of like, no matter where you're going to be, right? Marketing is all about communication, right? So you need that communication skill down. You need to be able to be personal. You need to be able to know the information that's out there, and be able to effectively communicate that, right? Like, regardless of your role, a transfer of enthusiasm is going to help you in that. So, whatever weird niche thing you're into, like, dive
Yeah.
heavy into it, and you're going to find that other people are at least intrigued about it and want to hear about it. And then once you have that, then you're in the door. And the other thing that I think is imperative is just, you know uh, effective listening skills.
Mm,
You need to be
yeah.
able to hear what people are saying. I always get, um, the salesman is just like show up and throw up and just keep talking, keep talking, keep talking. But the really effective ones, the
Right.
really good ones, they're just the best listeners, and they'll let other people talk and make space for other people to talk. Um, I always need to work on that too because I'm a blabbermouth. But
Yeah, me too.
I
I
think
start going
it's crucial.
in any sort of
Yeah,
sales situation. Yep.
yeah. But if you can let them do the talking, I think you'll glean so much more and so much more powerful information from that. Actually, find those little nuggets that are going to be effective to people. So practice it. Practice it in all of the different facets of your life. It'll make you a better, a friend, a better companion to people, a better coworker, a better student. Um, really, effective listening is the key to it all.
Wow, that's great. Another bit of tea spilled here on marketing tip tea time, or giving up the secret sauce, we also call it. Um, all
Mhm.
right. So are there any last bits of advice that you want to give? What's next for you? What's a really awesome, cool, exciting thing you're gonna do? Any information you want to give our audience here toward the end of the show?
No, I think, again, it's the transfer of enthusiasm and information, right? So people are always curious about programmatic. It often seems daunting. Like, call me, call Aaron, and he'll call me. You know,
Yep.
I'm
Yeah,
around, and
exactly.
find me, and we could talk about it because the best thing is to learn about it, right? There's super powerful tools out there that just people don't know about as much because they're addicted to Google last click attribution.
We love Google last click. We're sorry, Google. No, I'm just kidding. This is going on YouTube, so the Google's listening. The show.
That's okay. They
Yeah,
know
no, I
all
know.
about it.
Yeah, I know, I know. Oh my gosh. Well, thank you. So, one last thing I want to bring up, everyone, because it's just been running in my head all morning, this entire show. Jamie, do you watch TikTok at all? Are you on TikTok ever?
I'm not on
Are
the
you?
TikTok.
He's
I
not.
know I
He's not
should
on the
be.
TikTok.
Yeah, I can't bring myself to do it. I'm
Yeah,
too old. I
yeah.
think
You
I've
you
aged out of
gotta
it.
no. You're the perfect age. Let me tell you. Jump in before it's banned, maybe. But
That's the other reason.
but they have these nostalgia channels, and I'm a '90s kid. I was born in 1996, which is almost not a '90s kid, but uh, we recently, I was scrolling through TikTok this morning, and I just got to give a shout out to freecreditreport.com, who doesn't sponsor the show, but their jingle has been stuck in my head all morning because I was scrolling through nostalgia, and it's the one where they're dressed as a pirate in a restaurant. That jingle has just been running through my mind all morning. So, there's some effective marketing for you. And I actually, because of it, I Googled freecreditreport.com to even see if it was still around, because I thought, wait, are they still in business? I always hear of Credit Karma, but I haven't heard as much of freecreditreport.com. And I looked, yeah, they're still around, and go look it up. It's the one that starts, where they say, what is it? They say you should always dress for the job you want. Then why am I dressed up like a pirate in this restaurant? Yeah. So go look it up, everyone. It's a banger. It's a good one. That's a bit of marketing for you this way. I know. I was afraid they were gonna sue us, honestly. I thought they're gonna be like copyright infringement.
No,
all right. Well,
it's more clicks, more attribution.
Right. More advertising. Well, we've got to thank everyone who helps us with the show, to my technical producer, Josh French upstairs, and our assistant technical producer, Phil Van Drunen, to our graphics supervisor and our music supervisor, Peter Romero, and to our graphic specialists and our set designers, Alyssa and Sheridan Youngval. Thank you to all of you. Thank you to all of our audience as well who watches the show. We are trying to build a community of people who really want to learn more about marketing, like-minded people learning about marketing and doing the right thing in marketing, because we know that out there are a lot of sort of snake oil-y things that you can get into, but we really want to bring you the best strategies, stories, tips, tricks, and sips on the show for marketing that you can take home and you can try yourself, whether you're a small business, a single business owner, or whether you are a multi-million-dollar corporation. We really strive to have, some of the best people on the show. And we thank you to all of you who have subscribed and liked the show. Please, if you haven't already, like, share, subscribe. Send this to a friend who you think would find this interesting, or who would laugh, or who would learn something from it. We really appreciate all of the shares and everything that our audience has done. You can check us out on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter. You can also check out Choosel on all of those platforms and on their website. And you can reach out to Jamie if you'd like to. If you want to know anything more about Programmatic, he is the guy to talk to. Again, he is in Denver, Colorado at Choosel. And we are just so thankful for everybody who has helped us along this way. Also, thank you to my parents who has given me a number of the things you see on the set. So, everyone, yeah, I know. Thank you, Mom. Thank you, Dad. And, to everyone watching, thank you. And until next time, na zdraví. Cheers. Thank you so much, Jamie.
Cheers.
Have a good day.